Breathe. The past 72 hours has been absolute hell. Your husband, your rockin' soulmate, has been transferred to a psychiatric facility. Last night, you found a piece of paper in his jeans. The kind that stops your heart because it talks about ending it all. Then, as if on cue, Child Protective Services drops a voicemail that's like a punch to the gut. You've been on the phone constantly the last 3 days, calling and vetting dozens of treatment centers, trying to find one that has the resources and expertise for a patient with co-occurring mental illness who is in late-stage alcoholism and has recently suffered a seizure. These are all terms you barely understand, but now define our crisis. This afternoon, you had to start talking to lawyers about getting him out of a place that feels more like a prison than treatment, wondering how care became more about profit than healing. Despite the constant presence of your family and friends, you still feel utterly alone. Reality is hitting you like a truck, but you're still trying to wrap your mind around what's next. Right now, it's just you and your beautiful little girl. Taking one breath, 1 minute, one day at a time. You're a mess of fear, anger, and confusion. Trying to piece together where things turn left, how you miss the signs, and how the man you love could drift so far from the person you thought he was. But in the middle of this storm, you now find yourself praying for some magic fix that will bring him back to you, or for some miraculous return to normalcy. My name is Kourtney, and I'm an average person from Colorado. I go to work, pay bills, and like anyone else, I've got my fair share of ups and downs. But 2 years ago, my family's life was flipped upside down, and it's a story I think needs to be shared, not because it's unique, but because it's alarmingly common. With an estimated 300 million people globally living with this condition, often hidden in the shadows. So what would I say if I could talk to the Kourtney of the past? I'd tell myself that this nightmare wasn't a cruel detour. It was our path. It led us to understanding, strength, and the kind of faith you can't fully describe. By diving into the real science of addiction and stripping away your old biases, you will come to see that your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your mom, your dad, or anyone else you love that is battling this disease is not a problem to be fixed. We learn that addiction doesn't just affect one person. It's a family disease, and you will have a lot of work to do yourself. But together, you and your husband found your footing again. The truth is, some days it feels like we've got it all figured out, and other days, it's like we're back to square one. But here's the thing, you're not alone. Millions out there are watching someone they love suffer in silence because they have a chronic, lifelong disease that is too often misunderstood or judged. It is not seen as a disease that targets the brain, resulting in behaviors that are viewed as moral flaws or weaknesses rather than symptoms. You know what's bizarre? The thing that's killed more Americans in the last 24 years than all US wars combined is glamorized. While those fighting the battle feel they must hide in the shadows. But I'm here to tell you, breaking the silence, that's where change starts. And if there's one thing that's crystal clear to me now, it's that the opposite of addiction is connection. And so I'm here, sharing our story, not because it's unique, but because it's far too common. And if by speaking out, we can light a path for even one person, make them feel less alone, then it's worth it. Let's talk about it. Let's be there for each other. And let's tear down the walls of stigma together.